Gamers, we're here. We finally hit it. What I know many of you have been waiting for, what many of you subscribe to the channel for. Theory crafting and analysis of character kits. And well, today we've got the one that we're all really interested in. Now, I gotta take off the headphones so I get rid of the headphone hair. Caesar. I'm just gonna tell you right off the bat that this is one of the best characters, if not the best character in the game. Now, some of you are gonna be like, wow, that's a bold claim. There's a reason why I'm saying this, okay? Is she a must summon? Debatably. We're going to talk about why she might not be, though, at the end of the video, because it's one really small thing that I just think is funny. We're going to talk about that. And then, yeah, there's going to be some problems with actually how this character functions, and it's probably not what you're expecting, but we're going to cover that as well. So without further ado, let's actually hop into this. So in order to understand what all this character is doing, I'm going to have to go over her kit. I'm going to keep it short as it's not a dedicated video for it, and I also don't know how much hoyoverse is going to strike me down for a video like this because we are very close to release. They talked about her details on the live stream, but we don't have definitive numbers from the live stream. That being said, content creators are going to post their showcases about a couple days before the update actually goes live, and so I think it's fine for me to talk about this. We'll see. But anyways, to start off, her kit is one of the most interesting kits I've seen in this game so far, is because it completely redefines what the parry mechanic is. Similar to how like Beidou and Genshin Impact has a parry that you can activate with your skill, this character also has, but she has more than that. There are multiple parries and a lot of other like nuanced things about her kit that probably won't even get fully realized for most players, unless of course they're paying attention to what their kit does and watching videos like this. So to start off, we have her basic attack. It is a generic basic attack, however, it's going to have some decently high days multipliers, and this is important because this is sort of the whole character's idea. Her being a defense character, and I've mentioned this in other videos, they're in a weird spot between support and stunners, right? Fortunately, hoyoverse cooked with their first 5-star defense character so hard that she might be better than everybody else as a stunner. Now, that's a whole nother topic that I'll explain later, but just let it be known that the basic attacks have pretty good stun multipliers when you compare it to other stunners. We just take a look here, right? We got 30, 50, 165, we got 100, 200, and like 400 for that final one, which is gonna be insane. We're gonna look at Ambi, the traditional stunner. She's gonna be hitting similar numbers, so we got like 24, 44, 136, and then 286. Now, the important thing about stunners, besides the actual days multipliers, is going to be their impact, right? And this is the biggest thing about this character. Caesar has a below average impact for a stunner. Now, you're going to be like, oh, wait, that, like minus 10 impact that she has from Ambi, that's going to be pretty important, isn't it? Not really, once we get further in our kit. This is not that big of an issue, actually. Despite the fact that her impact value is lower, it's totally fine because of the rest of her kit. But I just want to keep it in mind that her actual days numbers are pretty good for basic attacks, right? That's the important thing. The second part of her basic attack, the dead end. This part is interesting because this is actually going to be the first attack in the game that consumes assist points. So those points you use for doing the parries and evasive assists, right? This is the first attack in the game that actually uses those. Now you'd be like, that doesn't sound that good. Well, there's a reason why it uses this. So the reason why it uses a assist point whenever you do the hold is because one, if we come down here, you're going to get a pretty high days multiplier, and two is that this actually can trigger her passive, which is kind of insane that it does this. That's going to trigger her passive right here because this is going to be a debuff that is massive for your team's overall damage. And we'll get into that in a moment. But just so you know, the whole reason this triggers an assist or this cost assist point is because this is a force activated ability to force a debuff on the target, which is a unique thing to this game right now. So this is really, really cool that she has something like this. And sure, an assist point is going to be kind of an L, but there's going to be a couple balancing factors out for this scenario, and we'll get to there. Just know, basic attack looks very good, very strong in terms of actual stunning capabilities. Now then, the dodge. This is one of the more important parts of her kit, surprisingly. And the dodge for, a rare thing actually matters for this character. So, Dodge, like a normal dodge, it does this, right? It's a dodge, like that's everything. The important part is the dash attack hog rush. So the basic way I can explain this is that this is effectively an auto parry, which is gonna sound insane to some of you hearing that, but that's basically what it is. So the TLDR, the description is you dodge into the enemy's attack and she will block it and you can activate your special out of it and you will do it's her doing an auto parry effectively, which is insane because you're going to get a good amount of days build up from this actual multiplier here, and the fact that you're going to be able to hit them with the following skill that's going to give you another percentage of days build up just for I wouldn't say play normally, but for playing into her kit, right? You're going to be able to dodge on the enemy, you're going to block it, and you're going to stab them, do a huge amount of days damage. It's going to be very fun, and it's going to allow you to be even more aggressive versus having to, reposition in a different way. You just go into the enemy. So it's going to be a unique way for this character to activate more of her abilities and actually build up days damage, unlike other people who have to dodge and sort of have to backpedal in some cases or so on and so on. This character is allowing you the ability to just be aggressive all the time, build up that days, right? And so when you dodge towards the enemy and press the button, you'll activate a shield strike that launches you forward. You get your damage reduced by, or the damage taken is reduced by 40%. And when attack, Caesar blocks with the shield and gets slightly knocked back, right? And then you press your special to trigger retaliation, which is going to either trigger your, regular special or your EX special shield bash, right? And of course, you get the regular dodge attack here, which is going to have a pretty decent multiplier as well, as we, compare to Ambi's, right? It's going to be a competitive number there. So that's totally fine and good to see, right? And now then for the EX special, which is a whole essay. Yeah, this video is going to be a bit of a longer one. So I think you can tell the character's good by how long their passive is. I think that's just like an obvious thing for these games. How long is the passive? Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. So her special attack. Strike forward dealing physical damage. If Caesar is hit by an enemy at the beginning of the activation, it will trigger a perfect block. Negating the damage once, automatically following up with a special attack, Roaring Thrust, right? So you're going to do that shield poke that you saw in the trailer. After using the skill, Caesar enters a guard stance, reducing incoming damage by 40%. When attacked by an enemy, Caesar blocks the shield and gets slightly knocked back. Press the special button to trigger retaliation, activating special strike, soaring thrust, or EX special, overpowered shield mass. When retaliation is triggered, Caesar is invulnerable while using the skill. So basically, it's kind of repeating itself there, but you're going to press the button and you're going to do your counter stance, right? If you do a perfect counter, you don't take the damage and you just immediately activate your special move, right? And if you don't activate immediately, you're in stance to block, basically. So you're entering a block stance, which you then will take reduced damage, get knocked back, and you can follow up with one of your other specials, right? That's basically what that's saying there. So, continuing. The Roaring Thrust special is whenever you press the button to just activate it, you will launch forward and do a physical slash, right? And if you perfect block, or if perfect block or retaliation is not triggered, so you're not doing the follow-up attack, the anti-interrupt level is increased while using the skill, and the character is invulnerable using the skill when perfect block or retaliation is triggered. Again, that's just sort of following up with what it said earlier, where it's like if you trigger it, you get this effect. If you don't trigger it, you don't get this effect. It's pretty much in line with other skills to where if you activate it, you're invulnerable during the skill. Again, nothing too crazy there. EX special parry counter. With enough energy, press the EX special to activate. Strike forward with the shield, followed by a powerful thrust, dealing massive physical damage. If Caesar's hit by an enemy at the beginning of the skill activation, or interrupt is triggered with the shield strike, it will trigger a perfect block, negating damage once and countering with a shield bash. After triggering perfect block, press EX special to activate the EX special overpowered shield bash without consuming energy. You do an EX parry. It doesn't consume energy. It's that simple. After using the skill, Caesar enters a guard stance, right, where you get the damage reduction, and then of course when you block, you get slightly knocked back, and you trigger either one of your other, special moves. You're invulnerable while using the special move, right? Same sort of thing. It's going to repeat itself a lot, but it's basically regular parry, your EX parry, and then of course your shield bash here, which is going to be a follow up for it if you do it, right? So the EX parry, with enough energy, you activate it, you strike forward with the shield, dealing mass physical damage. If she's hit by an enemy, of course, you do the interrupt, right? Or or an interrupt, you get the perfect block and you negate the damage, so on and so on, right? And all that stuff. Now, the important part about this is that there's also a passive baked into the parry. So whenever you trigger a perfect block, retaliation, or defensive assist, and so this means whenever you use an assist point to come in and block, and or, right, you trigger one of these abilities within her skill, you're going to get a 20% combat impact. This right here is why the slightly lower impact set doesn't matter as much, because this is going to multiply all of your impact by another 20%, which is just huge, because now she's effectively going to have the highest impact stat in the game when you trigger this, which means, per hit, she technically has the highest days build up in the game. The only other character that compares to it is like Qingyi. So that's going to be really, really strong. And granted, it's for 3 seconds, but this is something that you're going to be able to activate relatively easily with normal gameplay, I would say, considering it's just one of, the multiple parry abilities. So it's not anything too crazy to worry about, right? But this is a very powerful ability. Overall, the days multipliers do look pretty solid. The regular one doesn't really matter because, again, regular skills aren't that important in this game. They're basically nothing. But the ones that we are going to worry about are these latter half ones, like the EX one. You're getting a 300 multiplier. If it's a perfect block, you're getting another, increased multiplier, right? And if you do a perfect block counter attack, you're getting another like increased multiplier. So you're going to need these really big multipliers of days damage for spending 40 energy, right? And I think your energy cap is 120, which is normal, if I'm not mistaken. I actually don't know. It doesn't list it on this website. They list it in game typically, and I had my audio muted. I'm sorry, the music was gone. Normally I have the music like playing in the background. I bet I should have thought about that. Normally this sort of thing's like listed in game. So like if we go here, you should be able to see their energy limit of 120. I think that's standard across the board, if I'm not mistaken. 120. Yeah. So as far as I know, that's like the standard energy limit. So I wouldn't expect anything different out of her. I would expect to see another 120 energy limit, right? So nothing out of the ordinary. I would just assume that that means you can do effectively 3 skills back to back without any problems. But also, as you may have heard me mentioned, she refunds the energy if you use the skill. So yeah, again, there's like a whole thing there with like getting your energy back and whatnot, which is really cool, right? So that means you could arguably do it more if you time it correctly and are playing optimally, which is really, really nice. So huge, right? But yeah, these multipliers do look really good. As I said, if you do the EX parry counter, you're getting like a 400, or not 400, but 380 days multiplier there. And of course, with the shield bash, you are doing over 400 days multiplier there. And so you're going to get a really high days build up, which is really nice. In comparison, if we look at Ambi, who for her EX special, right, is going to be doing about 700, right? And so Caesar's is going to be comparative compared to hers if you're doing the full follow through for it. Now, granted, Ambi does have this extra days multiplier here, which I believe is just additive to hers, so it's more like 780, right? But you can understand that like this character is going to have a cheaper cost to actually activate her skill. And so if we compare to Ambi, she's able to get her skill off more. You just got to time it to get your maximum output for it, right? So if we look at Ambi's comparison for like days build up, it's going to be comparable, if not better, because Caesar's going to have a much higher impact stat when you do proc this sort of thing, which is, very good for a stun-based character, right? Now then, for the assist, the assist is nothing special. I'm not going to really read into it that much, but basically you'll get the shield throw, right, if you do this. And then, of course, you can follow up with one of her attacks from the EX special, just like her other attack. So you've got many different routes and ways to chain into your EX special to get that days build up, and that's going to be really good for what this unit wants to do, right? Additionally, of course, there's this special defensive assist passive here that you actually use 1 less skill point whenever you do a defensive assist. So she's got the superior assist mechanic that like I think Seth does. I don't actually know if it's listed in the description. As far as I know, it's not. But at least for Caesar, it's listed in a description to where basically all of your defensive parries only cost 1. And this is sort of the thing that I was mentioning earlier, that there is, built in, things to make it not as worse for like her hold skill where you can force her passive to proc. This is going to allow you to more freely use your defensive parries and then get that big daze damage that she wants to do, right? So this is a huge thing to have, allowing you to basically just tank all hard hits, right? So instead of using multiple assist points at once with a big hit, you only use one. Very powerful ability. And of course, the follow-up damage and daze multipliers on this are really good. You're getting like 500 daze multiplier there, 400 daze multiplier there, and another 500 here with the follow-up. So you're going to get really high daze damage, right? She's already sounding really crazy. Now then, to end this off here, we have the chain attack and the ultimate. Chain attack, we don't care. Ultimate it's a defense character, so ideally you're not going to use it. However, there is one thing to note. Unlike the other defense characters, she doesn't actually generate extra assist points. This thing was kind of concerning to me, the fact that she doesn't do it, because Seth and Ben both generate extra assist points whenever they use their ultimate. The trade-off with her is that she's actually going to double your, like, your daze damage dealt. I think it's doubling, to be honest. It says daze increase, so I don't know if this is a multiplier effect or if this is a additive effect, but I would assume it's multiplier, because if we look at Ambi's, hers is 1400, which is way higher than this even doubled. So I'm very concerned about why Caesar's ultimate is like this, especially because of this daze multiplier. It says whenever you are, whenever the enemy has a shield, which is not uncommon instead of like the end game. But it's very weird to me why her ultimate comparative to the rest of her kit seems so drastically weak. I don't know why this is, but comparatively, her ultimate looked completely useless from what I'm looking at here. So maybe there's something I'm missing, but it's like, regardless, you're not really using ultimates on defense characters, and this one does not look like anything crazy. You could probably get really strong daze buildup if you, attack a shielded enemy. But at that point, you might as well just get like an elemental counter effect, you know, or straight up stun them with any of her other abilities. So I really don't know why you would use this. And oh my god, we're already 17 minutes in. This character is complex, if you guys don't know. Now for the ultimate ability, her core skill. This is like the most broken ability that they have for a character. It's basically if you combine Zhongli and Bennett into one unit, if you've played Genshin. If you've played Star Rail, it's like if Fushuan was actually a DPS at the same time as being a sustainer, but then she was also a debuffer. It's crazy, because I haven't even gotten to the problems or like the damage numbers yet, which I gotta hurry this up. So whenever Caesar uses an EX special, a chain attack, and ultimate, an EX special overpowered shield bash, right, through retaliation, she buffs the entire team of Radiant Aegis, which is a shield equal to 1400 of her of her base impact, plus another 1400 of just raw stats whenever it's maxed out. You are going to want to level up this skill because it does actually increase this other number down here. And in fact, I'd say you got to max the skill out. So yeah, look forward to waiting another like 6 weeks for that, or whatever it is. I forget the number. But it's going to give you a really nice shield. This shield is going to be very potent. It's going to be upwards of 2000 or something like that. It's going to be really high. In fact, let me just do the math real quick on the fly. Right, if we're going to assume a generic impact value of like this, and we're going to times this by, I think it's like 15. Yeah, so you're going to get about this much shield value out of Caesar. Now, granted, your impact's going to be a bit lower than this, but this is effectively what you're getting out of her, and it's going to be a really powerful shield overall. And in fact, if anybody wanted to like just can double confirm with like an actual, you know, calculation here using Excel, I'll just go ahead and do this, right? Ooh, what the hell did I mess up here? That don't look right. Ah, there we go. Yeah, okay, I had it on the wrong thing. But yeah, as I said, it's gonna be a very potent shield. You're gonna need a lot of shielding from that, and it's gonna be the strongest shield in the game for that reason. Another thing that's important of that is the second half of the shield. This shield lasts for 90 seconds. To be honest, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to last only a minute, but it still says 90 seconds on here. It's either going to be 60 seconds or 90 seconds. Doesn't really matter. That lasts a long time. That is more than double Seth's shield. So yeah, the shield has really good uptime. That's crazy. And it gets even better. So first off, it's a shared shield value between all your teammates, right? So if one teammate takes damage, everybody's taking damage from the shield specifically. So just keep that in mind. So it is a shared shield. But this part right here, any single instance of damage will not exceed the shield value. Unless hoyoverse is smoking crack. This might be the dumbest ability I've seen in one of these games. Any single instance of damage will not exceed the shield value. You're telling me I can sit there and tank a 1 million plus damage attack and just be like, that was nothing. Huh? Like, there's a reason why I've been talking about this character so much and why her plus Lucy is going to be the most insane core in the game. It's because of stuff like this. And here's the thing. This is a new ability they added. This wasn't here originally. If this makes it to live, it's just crazy, bro. This is crazy. You can tank anything with this. Nothing is going to exceed your actual shield value, which is... That's crazy. And there's a... Hey, who knows? Maybe I'm reading it wrong. I don't think I am. But that's just a crazy ability. And the last part of it, because we're still not done with our core passive, is while the shield is active, you gain anti-interrupt. And it's like insane anti-interrupt. The enemies straight up, like small tier enemies, will straight up just bounce off of you. Kind of like it's Dark Souls or something. Or like Monster Hunter, they just bounce off of you. And bigger tier enemies, you just don't get phased. You just stand there and tank the whole thing. It's just full interrupt resist. It's insane. And then also, the reason why you want to level this up to max is because of this insane scaling here. 1000 attack while the shield is active. And this lasts for 5 seconds after the shield is gone. This is a effectively permanent Sakaku buff for your entire team. What the hell? This is an insane ability to where it literally makes her better than the base ability of like every single support in the game. And we're not even done with her base kit. This is an M0 unit, mind you. They said we're putting defense characters on the map, bro. You making fun of Ben? Seth ain't enough for you? Boom! Here Caesar breaks the game. Crazy ability. We're gonna get into the damage numbers very, very soon. And then her final ability, Battle Spirit. This is her additional ability. The one that's gonna be insane is whenever you have a member in your team that can trigger a defensive assist, or it's the same faction. So in case you don't know what defensive assist is, that's effectively every melee character plus Nicole. For some reason, they gave Nicole a defensive assist, but as long as you can do a parry, you can get this ability procced. Insane activation. Absolutely insane. Like, cinema activation, it's so free. You can put her on legit, like, every team. Whenever Caesar does a perfect block, retaliation, defensive assist, or basic attack dead end, like I mentioned earlier, like 15 minutes ago, she applies a debuff to enemies within a 7-meter radius. It increases the damage they take by all teammates by 25% for 30 seconds. Now, unless this is just a whack wording thing, this is a damage taken debuff, which is the only source of it in the game, as far as I know, which also makes this insanely powerful. So now you have a character that is providing everything we mentioned earlier, 1000 attack and 25% damage taken. That's going to multiply for everything else. This character is literally insane. There's no other way to put it. Now, even if this isn't damage taken, this is still the strongest like base kit out of like any support because it's 1000 attack, 25 damage percent, right? Even Sakaku doesn't do that when she's fully built up. And she's only buffing for one character. This is a team-wide thing. So this is insane. Insane effect. Now, if we go to quickly to cover dupes, you're going to get the shield immediately whenever you start battle. And then the funny thing is this is the Zhongli effect. So M1 is crazy, and a lot of people are going to want this one. While the shield is active, everybody nearby gets 15% res down. Because why not? This is actually insane. And then the M2, while it's active, Caesar gets energy recharge. And then also your attack boost gets increased by another 50%. So you get another 500 attack on top of everything else. Yeah, I think they want you to summon for this character. Who knows? It really is. It's insane. And then the M4 is you get the ability that the other defensive characters have, where on your chain attack or ultimate, you gain 3 additional assist points. Now, here's the thing. It's on chain attack too, which means you're basically going to have infinite ones. And if her energy is below 20, she can activate EX special attack, overpowered shield bash with 1 assist point instead. is going to be triggered every 5 seconds. So basically, it means you can use your ability with an assist point. And so instead of using it with a energy, you just keep using that thing until you run out of assist points. But here's the thing. Every time you do a chain attack, boom, +3. So this character is broken, bro. It's actually crazy. And then the final one for the Giga Whales out there. Your EX special and assist follow-up are guaranteed crits. The damage is increased by 50% with an additional 50% damage to the primary target. So 100 damage percent. When Caesar uses an EX special overpowered shield blast or assist follow-up, the crit rate is increased by 30% or crit damage is increased by 60% for 15 seconds. Yeah, so did I mention we're not done? This is crazy. So here's another thing. We're going to be able to use the new set on her, which is going to give her, the entire team another 15 damage percent, which is very pog. Or of course you can run Swinging Jazz, which will give you 15 damage percent for the whole team. So you're going to even get more damage buffing with her, right? Now, ideally, on most teams, right, you're actually going to be running her on Proto Punk. Excuse me. And then you're going to have your other support be on Swinging Jazz. That's typically how you would do it, I would say. But regardless, you've got options. She's very flexible. And then as for the 2-piece, probably Impact because, you know, she scales Impact. Of course, you could do the alternative by giving her just full Impact and then doing 2-piece Energy Recharge, right? That works too. Or 2-piece Shield Effect. But any one of those options can be very good. I don't think anything else is worthwhile because she's not really building into that. And in case you didn't know, she scales on Impact, guys. She wants impact percent and all that good stuff. Okay, so if you're wondering about sets and what you're gonna run, you're gonna run crit, physical damage, impact. That's what you're gonna do, and it's gonna be whatever the sets are. So that's what I would suggest. Of course, there's gonna be other options you can do, but I think that would be the best. Now to quickly go about weapons before we go into the calcs and other team stuff. Your weapon options. This is one of the big problems with her. You're screwed. You're just screwed with weapons. There pretty much isn't a good weapon for her, apart from her signature. So the free-to-play weapons are all I talked about this in another video. The free-to-play weapons are all defense percent. Or the 3 stars are defense percent, and they're doing like literally nothing for her. They're giving her defense or like getting healed. Even Seth's new weapon, this one is arguably your second or third best one, because it gives you energy recharge, and then we don't care about that slots part. We literally only care about the energy recharge stat, because using your special more means more days damage, right? Big cylinder, she doesn't scale defense, so this literally does nothing for her. This is probably the second best one. This attack one here, the battle pass one, you get damage reduction, and whenever you get, you know, energy regen increase if you're being attacked, you can also give the buff to your allies. Again, arguably the second best one. This one, again, defense gives you nothing. We don't care about the attack, unless for her own personal damage. And this one, which is what you'll probably be using for most players, it's giving you HP percent, but then the passive is going to give you 10% increased impact, right? And this goes all the way up to 16 at max level. So I think I might have foddered this one myself, I'm not going to lie, but this, between 4 stars, it's really a toss-up between original Transmorpher and then like one of the 2 attack scaling ones, which is a banner weapon and then something that's battle pass only. So your weapon options are completely screwed because none of them give impact except for her signature, which gives you 18% impact. And if you want to know what her signature does, well, 30% shield. So that shield value I showed you earlier, just you know, more oh my god, bro. You're not taking damage. And then when any squad member triggers that interrupt or perfect dodge, all squad members' damage increases by 18%, and Days damage dealt increases by 12% for 20 seconds. The passive does not stack with others. Because here's the thing, you're not going to stack it with others regardless. This is stupid, because damage percent and Days and impact. Yeah, she's like going to be the fastest stunner in the game for like no reason. Why not? Defense character funny. So time to get into the final part of this video, which is what you're probably all waiting for because I've covered basically everything else. It's going to be, who does she work with? Well, they built her like a salad the whole goddamn game. I don't think I need to explain why she works the whole game. Yeah. As I was just That's what he said. What do you want me to say? Huh? The whole game. I do think one of the best power combos is going to be Lucy plus Caesar, because Lucy will activate her passive. Lucy's passive is going to activate, so your boards are going to do starting to do some damage. And you're now going to be giving everybody, you know, their combat attack, 1,600 attack of a maxed out Lucy. And, you know, you're going to be able to run legit anybody in slot 1. It's going to work as an actual viable team. Granted, we're going to talk about a couple issues in a second. But basically, everybody can use her. She's either going to replace her support in any team, or she's going to replace your stunner in any team. Or you can use her alongside the support or stunner. And of course, she's going to be really good for those double anomaly teams because, well, guess what? You're going to have permanent buffs for both characters. Which means, so long Seth, so long Rena, blah, 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 whatever it may be, you've got 100% uptime, which is just... Well, 100% uptime on really good buffs, which is just insane. And that's what I'm going to get into now. If you want to know what I think the characters are getting the biggest bonus out of this are, it's going to be Nekomata, Soldier 11, and basically everybody else that is, like, not the popular DPS characters. I think they're getting the biggest buff out of this because beforehand, they didn't have a stunner that worked optimally with their kit. Now they're going to have a stunner that works optimally with their kit, and they can still run another support option like Nicole, like Lucy on the team, which is probably what you're going to do. And the salad comp, which is legit anything with Caesar, right? The Caesar salad, in case you don't get the joke. Everybody in the game benefits from her in some way or another, even if she's not best in slot on like Ellen teams, but that's debatable, which I will talk about in just one moment. As I've said, I do think she's worth something for, even if you've got characters like Chingy and Lycon. And that's what I'm going to get into right after I mention that specifically on Ellen's team, optimally, she can replace Sakaku, but she shouldn't replace Sakaku because Sakaku can do damage that I don't think you'll be getting from Caesar. Now, again, this is going to depend on how you use the character. A lot of people don't like how Sakaku plays, right? So that's obviously going to affect the actual like performance of you using that character, right? So there's going to be debates there, here and there. And there's a lot of debates between who she's going to replace, who she's working better than, so on and so on. And so I'm going to try to quickly go over that because this video is already way too long. So I've done some calculations for these characters. Again, take this with a grain of salt as the screen is washing me out here because of the lighting. This was tested on 0 resistances against a regular enemy, like defense value, like mid-tier enemy defense. I just gave it like a test dummy, and I based the calcs off my Joyuan, my Ellen Joe, and then I based it off of a like fully built Jane Doe, right? Now with Ellen, as you can see here, I've actually done a damage rotation. I've hidden the tabs here because all you really need to see is the overall damage rotation. With a character like Vaughn and or Sakaku, if you have Sakaku's signature weapon with 100% uptime, you will in fact get the biggest damage bonus here of 63.3%. However, Sakaku has low uptime on her weapon effect and very high uptime on her M1 attack bonus here, right? So this is obviously going to vary a lot here, but this is the highest damage bonus solo if she's M4 with her res up, right? Additionally, Vaughn, of course, is still going to give you a very competitive bonus and give you that unique multiplier via the stun damage multiplier. And so, of course, he's going to be very good. When you combine the two, you get the largest damage bonus that Ellen Joe has of 147.6% or 0.2%. This is the highest damage bonus she can reach with the rotation of being ult, EX skill, basic 3, EX skill, EX skill 2, and basic 3, right? That's going to be your like optimal speed rotation for doing the most damage. And then past that, if you swap in Caesar's going to be better than Vaughn solo. However, Caesar plus Vaughn is actually going to be worse than Vaughn plus Sakaku, and Caesar plus Sakaku is still going to be worse. The main reason for this is because you're stacking enough a res pin and other bonuses that, like this combat attack from Sakaku's weapon. And so with the combat attack effect up, you're actually going to do better than Caesar. Without the combat attack up, Caesar's going to perform better, is basically the way to do this. And plus, Caesar's going to be a much more comfortable character, and so for general play, she's just going to be better than like Sakaku. And this is, by the way, this is assuming her debuff is up, which we've already pointed out the fact that she can force proc her debuff by using an assist point, and or you just do a parry. So this is actually reliable to have full uptime. in all of these teams work, right? Very, very good. This is the same thing, actually. This was just, I need to standardize the damage testing, but that's the point here. She's not necessarily best in slot with Ellen Joe, but she's arguably going to be the best in slot for most players because it's going to be easier to use her just straight up, right? You won't get any weird awkwardness of Sakaku. You're running 2 stunners at this point, and so you're going to get really fast days. You're going to, beat down the enemy faster, which is always a positive. So, like there's going to be ways there. Personally, I don't have Vaughn, and so regardless, it's an upgrade for me, but I just thought I'd mention that. I have one for Zhu Yuan, comparing her through a similar scenario. Same like scenario of 150 stun multiplier with Qingyi and all these other characters. So the Qingyi solo, she's going to give you against a 150 stun multiplier enemy a 53.33% damage increase for your suppression attacks. As you can see here, right? This is going to be your first 2 attacks and then the multi attack that it does, and I just totaled it right here, which, you know what, here I'll just do that for you guys so you can see. I should have bracketed this off, my bad, but with Caesar alone, it's actually going to give you a 61.89, assuming again all her effects up, damage bonus. So that's actually going to be better than Qingyi. And here's the thing, Caesar doesn't have to build up, you just force proc this immediately. Qingyi has to build this up, so right there, kind of already power creeping Qingyi. I say kind of because when you combine the numbers together, Qingyi can win, but that's build up in a certain way to play versus you just immediately get all the effects, which is kind of like insane. A lot of people are going to probably be mad at that. And then Nicole, for whatever reason, I don't know, Nicole calced lower the second time I did this. I'm not sure why that is, but at least from what I've got here, Nicole is calcing at 47% increase. This is assuming you've got Nicole's weapon. So you're getting another 40% damage percent and 40% defense down. Of course, this will vary depending on enemy because, defense scalars, but that's pretty much what you'll get from them. When you combine the robot plus Caesar, you're going to get the biggest damage bonus of 148%. From my numbers, of course, as I said earlier, take a grain of salt. There's going to be a very massive increase for your overall damage, and that's going to beat out the robot plus Nicole at 125% damage increase. Again, I do think this team is going to be more reliable, and the main thing is that even if in some scenarios Nicole can win out if you do certain numbers and certain math things, Caesar's going to be a much more easier unit. It's going to have better uptime than Nicole, and so you won't have to do any funny swaps and all this other shenanigans. The problem is that she doesn't actually have a quick assist. So, and this is another thing, if any of these characters rely on a quick assist for some way, Caesar not having a quick assist can negatively impact you in those scenarios. However, the gain of which you get by running Caesar is arguably better than activating like one weapon passive. And so again, there's going to be debates there in terms of functionality, but that's just something worth noting, that Caesar does kind of just completely beat out those other options because of what she's doing just free, right? And then of course, Caesar plus Nicole is going to give you the second best at 138% damage increase from base, which this one is again going to be debatable. This is arguably going to be her best team, I'm not going to lie, because remember, Qingyi has to build up, Caesar does not, and this is going to allow you to proc a quick assist with her, which is going to activate those passives, and which is also going to activate those other effects. Now granted, again, this is my Zhu Yuan, so she's running a 4-star weapon. I just assumed the passive was up, but actually in this team right here, this middle one, I wouldn't even be able to proc the passive, so it should be lower, right? And so that ends up being to where Caesar plus Nicole is arguably her best team. Now, if we calculate this with the actual signature weapon, you'll probably get different results, but I'm just giving you my numbers from what I've looked at and, obviously wrote out. And you also see some really impressive attack numbers here. Like, you stack all this attack with Sakaku and Caesar, you're getting like 6,000 attack here, bro. You get some like insane numbers here. Oh, I also gave her a ton of combat and attack. This is for another reason. Look, point is, there's some like funny stuff you can do with some of these characters, right? And then lastly, we've got the Jane Doe damage multipliers here. With Jane, this is wrong. I forgot to change this. Against the similar enemy scenario, you're gonna be getting these numbers of these characters. So with Seth, you're gonna be getting, like 20% increase in damage. With Caesar, you're gonna be getting a 64% increase in damage. Oh man, bro, she's one hell of a drug, right? And then if you do Seth plus Caesar, you're gonna be getting a 96% increase in damage, which is very, very good, right? With Lucy alone, you're actually gonna get a 27% increase, and this is Lucy with her weapon, which is gonna be very reliable and gonna give you a nice combat attack bonus. Lucy plus Seth, of course, gonna be 50%. It's funny looking at this that even Lucy with her weapon, which is a really good weapon, is not beating Caesar solo, which is I like triple check these numbers, but like the drug of 1000 attack and then 25% vulnerability is insane. Now again, there's a chance it's not vulnerability and that these numbers are wrong. Regardless, Caesar plus Lucy is a 98% one. However, this team is not realistic because you can't proc the passive from Jane Doe, where she's going to lose a lot of her rate buildup, which is going to be a massive negative towards the unit, right? And so that's the video. I've gone on way too long with this. Oh, here's the final thing I wanted to mention. The biggest downside for should you summon for this unit. Her banner sucks. For whatever reason, they decided to shaft us. They put the good units on the second banner with Bernice, Lucy, and Nicole. Now, at least there's free Lucy. But they put Lucy, Nicole, and another banner, and they gave us Anton and Piper. So, despite how powerful this unit is, this banner is rough as hell. But yeah, that's the video, gamers. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully this helped you understand what she does. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check me out on Twitch, all that stuff. I do want to do more of these. Of course, I'm going to do one for Bernice later. She's a bit of a weird scenario, but hopefully this covered everything you guys need to know about Caesar. If you have questions, ask them below. I think she's insane. And regardless of if it is still damage percent, she's still going to be really, damage vulnerability. She's still going to be really good regardless. Just she won't be like best in slot in every team. And as you've seen here, there's already teams that, even with what she does, is still getting beat out. But she's going to be a really good option for like the entire game. Like the most flexible character, insane account value, just all that stuff. So yeah, I'll end it here. Pog,